Hey there, all you beautiful Broadway babies! Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and this is episode 43 of Broadway Jeopardy, your weekly musical theater themed trivia escape from the real world. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to be like the other cool kids and never miss out on an episode. I've got 26 all-new clues ready to test your musical-loving minds, so let's jump right into this week's game. This is Broadway Jeopardy! Looking at the categories for today's game, we start off as always with last week's Final Jeopardy category, which is Broadway ballets, looking at some ballet segments in musicals. After that, we have Animaniacs, continuing our look at some animated show tune parodies. We're looking at the show Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain as well. And here you'll be naming the song being parodied and the show it's from. Then it's 1973, taking a look at some shows that opened on Broadway that year. That's followed by one-word titles. As it sounds, we're looking at some musicals with one-word titles that aren't someone's name. And last but not least, we have Look to the Sky, where we're dealing with show tunes with the word sky in the title. And we end with the Final Jeopardy round, so make sure and keep track of your scores if you want to wager big or small on that final clue. We start off, of course, with the $200 round, or the Overture round as I call it, where the questions lean towards the easier side before I shake things up with the deviously hard questions later in the game. Kicking things off in the Broadway ballet category, your first $200 clue is... In the hit 1975 musical The Wiz, a ballet is used early in the show to represent this, the thing that transports Dorothy to Oz. What is a tornado? The original Broadway production of The Wiz was choreographed by George Faison, who would win the Tony Award for his work on The Wiz. Next up in the Animaniacs category, your first $200 video clue is...
Fun Bob Hope specials and spam on the griddle. Small bouncing babies with long strands of spittle. Merry hot air shriners in a parade. That's what I ponder when I am afraid.
What is my favorite things from The Sound of Music? This is from Animaniacs Season 3, Episode 9 in the short titled The Sound of Warners, where a Maria Von Trapp type nanny takes charge of the Warner brothers and sister.
Why, you simply must eat all your oatmeal, chew every bite.
Taking a time machine back to 1973 gives us the $200 clue. In Sondheim's A Little Night Music, a forlorn Desiree sings the melancholy "Send in the These." What are clowns? Now, for those of you that may suffer from coulrophobia or fear of clowns, there's no need to be afraid here. The lyrics to "Send in the Clowns," Sondheim's most popular song, are not referring to actual circus clowns, but more as a stand-in for the word fool. The $200 clue in the one-word titles category is... The very pregnant Jenna begins an ill-advised love affair with her doctor in this Sarah Bareilles musical based on the film of the same name. What is waitress? Many wonderful actors have portrayed Jenna's doctor/side piece. Drew Gehling, a wonderful actor, originated the role and can be seen in the Pro Shot along with Sarah Bareilles. During the show's run, Chris Diamantopoulos, Jeremy Jordan, Josh Henry, the late great Gavin Creel, New Kid on the Block member Joey McIntyre, and Jason Mraz all took up the stethoscope for the show's original run and its brief return engagement on Broadway.
It only takes a taste. It only takes a taste when you know it's good.
And finishing up the Overture round in the Look to the Sky category with the $200 clue. In the classic musical Pippin, the title character famously sings about wanting to find this part of the sky. What is the corner? What exactly is a corner of the sky? I don't know, but the song has become a beloved ballad sung by every tenor known to man at some point, I think. And it's a classic example of an I want song, a song early in a musical where the protagonist shares through song their hopes and desires and sets in motion the plot of the show. Here, Pippin wants to find his purpose and where he fits into this world.
Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free.
I hope you all conquered that corner of the game. Let's move on to the only slightly harder $400 round now. Circling back to Broadway ballets, your first $400 clue is: a group of gambling gangsters do the Crapshooters Ballet at a dice game in the New York City sewers in this Golden Age musical comedy. What is Guys and Dolls? Both the original Broadway production of Guys and Dolls as well as its film adaptation were choreographed by Michael Kidd. Kidd is legendary for his thrilling and acrobatic dances.
Michael Kidd, Michael Kidd, Michael Kidd.
And the Crapshooters Ballet in Guys and Dolls is no exception. Let's look at some nefarious mice in the Animaniacs category with the $400 video clue.
Because musical mice like to dance, they don't wear any pants, and the people all come back for more. Musical mice are musically nice, and they're musical mice.
What is Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats from Cats? This is actually from Pinky and the Brain, Season 3, Episode 24, called The Broadway Malady. This is an entire Broadway-themed episode of Pinky and the Brain, where a brain's plan to take over the world needs funding, so the devious mouse produces a Broadway show about mice.
Are the seats filled with tourists? Are the songs all the same?
Is the acting absurd?
Is the plot really lame?
The $400 clue in the 1973 category is: this classic Lerner and Loewe movie musical featuring the songs Thank Heaven for Little Girls and The Night They Invented Champagne debuted its Broadway adaptation in 1973. What is Gigi? The original stage adaptation of Gigi, which opened at the Uris Theater, now called the Gershwin Theater where Wicked is, starred Maria Karnalova, original Curly in Oklahoma Alfred Drake, and Agnes Moorehead, best known as Endora on Bewitched, in one of her last roles. The stage musical proved to not have the same lasting charm as the original film, however, and it closed after about 100 performances. Looking at a classic show in the one-word titles category with the $400 clue. This revolutionary rock musical contains the songs I Got Life, Easy to Be Hard, and Let the Sun Shine In. What is Hair? Some critics and avid theatergoers hailed Hair as the future of musical theater at the time and a final major break from the traditional musical theater of the Golden Age. For others at the time, however, Hair was an abomination that signaled the death of musical theater as we knew it. And in a lot of ways, I think both schools of thought were totally wrong. Hair was obviously not the death of musical theater, it's very much still alive and well, but also Hair didn't really create any lasting changes to the genre as a whole. Any musical that really tried to walk in Hair's unconventional footsteps failed spectacularly. And while I, of course, wholeheartedly agree that the show was groundbreaking, I really can't argue that it changed the art form much in any meaningful way. What do you guys think? Am I underplaying Hair's importance? Let me know in the comments. And let's look to the sky for the $400 clue. Young Jack is ecstatic to find these in the sky in Sondheim's Into the Woods. What are giants? I love the song Giants in the Sky, and Ben Wright's performance in the original cast is a favorite of mine. Okay, does it bug anyone else that you have to listen to Very Nice Prince and First Midnight before you can listen to Giants in the Sky on the original Broadway cast recording? I mean, Giants in the Sky doesn't start for 3 minutes on the track. I don't know, I mean, I like the other songs on that track, but, you know, I just want to listen to Giants in the Sky sometime. Get on with it. Maybe it's just me. Into the $600 round, it's time to go. Dancing into the Broadway ballet category brings us the $600 clue. This daughter of Tevia's dances a ballet as her father tries to process her running away from home in the classic musical Fiddler on the Roof. Who is Hava? Hava is Tevia's third daughter, the one who falls in love and ultimately elopes with the Russian Fietka, who is not Jewish, pushing Tevye and his tradition to the almost breaking point.
Little bird, little Havale, you were always such a pretty little thing, everybody's favorite child.
Back at the totally insane-y Animaniacs category with a $600 video clue.
There is a flat in Gay Paris, safe on a tree-lined avenue. No cats a la carte on the menu. Not in my flat in Gay Paris.
What is Castle on a Cloud from Les Miserables? This is from the legendary Season 1, Episode 11 segment Les Miseranimals, starring Rita the cat and her bumbling companion Runt, in a fairly extensive cartoon adaptation of Les Mis, with over 10 songs from the mega musical parodied in the segment. And if you think you might recognize Rita's singing voice, that is indeed the one and only Bernadette Peters, who voiced Rita the cat in 16 episodes of Animaniacs.
Do you hear the poodles bark, barking the barks of angry mutts?
It is the high-pitched yap of pedigree dogs whose mouths will not be shut.
We will break down the prison wall, we will destroy the restaurant. We are revolting poodles following Runt the roars.
Traveling back again to 1973 gives us the $600 clue. Before becoming a revered Broadway director and choreographer, the 1973 musical Seesaw featured this extremely tall dancer in a supporting role where he's saying, "It's not where you start, it's where you finish." Who is Tommy Tune is the right response. Seesaw the musical is based on the play Two for the Seesaw, an intimate two-person play. For Broadway though, the creatives ballooned up the story, a common mistake in musicals it seems, crushing the story under its weight. Tommy Tune's character in the show Danny was a highlight with his bright and boisterous 11 o'clock number, "It's not where you start, it's where you finish." But that was kind of part of the problem. The number, and really Danny's entire role, had almost nothing to do with the main plot. But Tommy Tune would walk away with the Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical for the role, his first of 10 eventual Tony Awards.
It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And we're gonna finish on
It's not where you start, it's where you
It's not where you start, it's where you
It's
finish.
not how you go, it's how you
It's not how you go, it's how you land.
The multi-word clue in the one-word title category for $600 is: Lulu tends to her whiskey-making business while assuring a man she's independently owned in this country musical. What is Shucked? Alex Newell, who won the Tony for their role as the no-nonsense whiskey-making Lulu, absolutely brought the house down every performance with Independently Owned. It was one of those songs and performances where you knew you were seeing musical theater history being made right in front of you. It was always a highlight of an already thoroughly enjoyable musical.
This corn ain't gonna shuck itself.
And the $600 clue in the Look to the Sky category is: this comic book based musical featured the darkly ironic song Boy Falls from the Sky. What is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark? Speaking of dark, sorry if that clue was a little dark. Anyway, moving on. With a score by Bono and The Edge from U2, Boy Falls from the Sky was the first big release and was the first song written for the show Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. It's time to really turn up the heat with the $800 round now. But before we do, please, oh pretty please, if you're enjoying this week's game, take this second and hit that like button for me. It really helps with the almighty YouTube algorithm showing these videos to more fine folks like yourselves, but it also makes me feel like I could dance a dream ballet. Thank you all, I really do appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to it. Leaping back to the Broadway ballet category, your first $800 clue is: the groundbreaking dream ballet from Oklahoma is actually titled this. What is Lori Makes Up Her Mind? Yes, the dream ballet that started it all. Choreographed by Agnes DeMille, Lori Makes Up Her Mind is one of the chief reasons for Oklahoma's status as a complete art form game changer. Using a ballet as storytelling, moving the actual plot of the musical forward, was revolutionary at the time. A slew of musicals that followed Oklahoma now contain dream ballets until it became a much maligned cliche, but their significance to musical theater should be treasured, despite what some people's opinion of them are. Looking at you, Melissa.
No, we're not having a dream ballet, okay? They're annoying and stupid. They slow everything down. Nobody likes a dream ballet. Nobody.
Your $800 video clue in the Animaniacs category is:
listen up, all you sniveling and cowardly mice. You may live in your cage if you please. But not I, for I've learned not to take just a slice when I'm destined to have the whole cheese.
What is I, Don Quixote from Man of La Mancha? This is another clip from a Pinky and the Brain episode, this time from Season 1, Episode 12, the segment titled Mouse of La Mancha. Like in Man of La Mancha, it's a story within a story, where Brain is telling other mice the story of Don Cerebro, whose attempts to take over the world make him go crazy, seeing windmills as giants who need fighting. And of course, Pinky is there as his faithful friend a la Sancho Panza.
I'm Pinky, yes, I'm Pinky. I point and I laugh and I say, egad.
Looking at a new musical based on an old play in the 1973 category with the $800 clue: Christopher Plummer won the Tony Award for this musical, where he played the famously long-nosed, poetic title role. What is Cyrano? The 1973 musical adaptation of Cyrano de Bergerac won praise for Christopher Plummer, who had already played the role several times in non-musical adaptations. But the show ran less than 2 months on Broadway, with many critics feeling that not only did the songs take away from the already flowing prose of the original play, but that the songs actually stopped the show cold, and not in a good way. The $800 clue in the one-word titles category is: this musical's title song, which was brought over from its film inspiration, made sure the audience would always remember its name. What is Fame? Fame the musical was based, of course, on the iconic 1980 film, which spawned a 6-season TV show which ran from 1982 to 1987, and a film remake in 2009. Though the stage musical is not a direct adaptation of the film, but instead inspired by and sort of set in the world of the original film, and like the movie, follows students attending the prestigious High School of the Performing Arts in New York City. While the stage version of Fame, which first premiered in Florida in 1988, has been seen all over the world in national tours, the musical has never actually played Broadway proper. There was an off-Broadway production in 2003, sort of retitled as Fame on 42nd Street, but that's as close to Broadway as the show has ever come. And flying into the Look to the Sky category for the $800 clue gives us The song How Beautifully Blue the Sky is from this early British operetta, soon to be revived on Broadway, albeit with a reworked title. What is The Pirates of Penzance? As the clue mentioned, the classic Gilbert and Sullivan operetta, which hasn't been seen on Broadway since the acclaimed Kevin Kline-led production in 1981, is coming back to Broadway this season, but with a slightly new name. This new production from the Roundabout Theatre Company is going to be called Pirates: The Penzance Musical. It's set to star Ramin Karimloo, David Hyde Pierce, and Jinx Monsoon. We've reached that point now, my friends. The big show, the main event. It's the $1,000 round. Cue that dramatic music. Good luck, players. Point those toes as we head one last time to the Broadway ballet category for the $1,000 clue. This short-lived 2016 musical, based on the children's novel of the same name, ended with a ballet showing the long and happy life of Winnie Foster. What is Tuck Everlasting? Based on the classic novel by Natalie Babbitt, the musical explores the question, if you could live forever, would you? Or does having it end make life more meaningful? The musical is one of my personal favorite short-lived shows of all time. It was directed and choreographed by Casey Nicola, and his grand ballet sequence that pretty much ended the show was a beautiful use of storytelling through dance that we don't see that much of anymore. But I'll tell you, after that ballet in Tuck Everlasting, the audience left the theater with a tear in their eye and a smile on their lips. Heading one last time to the Warner Brothers Water Tower with the Animaniacs category and the $1,000 video clue.
I chewed some gum and that's the truth. It pulled the filling from my tooth. And now I feel my back teeth aching. Dental Avenue, painful avenue. Root canal is only the beginning.
What is Sunset Boulevard from Sunset Boulevard? This is from Season 3, Episode 11 of Animaniacs called Dot's Entertainment, which is another all-Broadway themed segment. In this one, the Warner siblings torment composer Andy Loud Webby when Dot takes over the lead in his big new musical, The Cats of Phantom Boulevard.
We're cats of Phantom Boulevard, oh wow! Now singing, now dancing, now ticket sales advancing.
We're the cats of Phantom Boulevard.
The cats of Phantom Boulevard.
Yeah.
Looking at a revival in the 1973 category with the $1,000 clue. In 1973, celebrated performer Debbie Reynolds played the title role in a hit revival of this musical from 1919. What is Irene? As the clue stated, Irene was a popular musical from 1919, when many a musical bearing a name of a woman was seen on Broadway, like Sunny, Sally, Mary, and even one called Sally, Irene, and Mary. During a 1970s nostalgia craze, there was a smash hit revival of No No Nanette in 1971. The producers of that show, looking for another such hit, brought back Irene, now starring film legend Debbie Reynolds, who was making her Broadway debut with the revival. But she wasn't the only one making her debut. Her daughter Carrie Fisher also made her Broadway debut in Irene in the chorus. The $1,000 clue in the one-word titles category is... This short-lived musical from 1985, about a mostly black burlesque house in the 1930s, starred Ben Vereen and Stubby Kaye. What is Grind is the right response. Produced and directed by Hal Prince, Grind opened on Broadway during the notoriously horrendous 1984-1985 Broadway season. The show, about racial disparities and tensions in 1930 Chicago, with a focus on an interracial couple, appeared to be in major trouble as early as its pre-Broadway tryout, where several songs were axed out of town. When the show did open in New York, critics were quick to disparage its heavy-handed book, and some of its score at least, and the musical closed within 2 months, losing its entire investment. And the curtain call clue for $1,000 in the Look to the Sky category is... This Vernon Duke John Latouche musical from 1940 sees little Joe contend with the forces of heaven and hell to save his soul. What is Cabin in the Sky? The 1940 musical is best remembered, I think, for its 1943 film adaptation, which saw Ethel Waters recreating her starring role from the original Broadway production, alongside Lena Horne, with Louis Armstrong in a supporting role as well. The film version also had the addition of the song Happiness is a Thing Called Joe, written for the film by Yip Harburg and Harold Arlen. And with that, we've reached the final Jeopardy round, my friends. Time to tally up your scores and decide how confident you feel in the category World War II, looking at some shows set during the Second World War. Okay, has everyone made their wagers? Ellen? Matt? Danielle? Okay, here is your final clue. This musical, which just opened on Broadway, beat out the British premieres of a Tony Award winner and a Pulitzer Prize winner for Best New Musical at the 2024 Olivier Awards. What is Operation Mincemeat? As the clue stated, the brand new musical, which opened in London's West End in 2023, won the coveted Olivier Award, the British equivalent of the Tony Awards, for Best New Musical. And it was up against some heavy hitters. Operation Mincemeat beat out the British premieres of A Strange Loop and the acclaimed Donmar Warehouse production of Next to Normal. I can't wait to see Operation Mincemeat later this month and see what all the buzz is really about. And that's this week's game! How did you all make out this week? Did your scores go sky high, or did the game make mincemeat out of you? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys and seeing your scores. A massive shout out, as always, to my amazing patrons over on Patreon. Really, there would truly be no Broadway Jeopardy without you guys. If you want to help support and keep the show on the road, there is a link in the video description to my Patreon and a link to my merch shop as well. And speaking of merch, if there is a design you'd like to see in the merch shop, please let me know and I'll do my best to make it happen. Another big way to support the channel is just to share these videos with everyone you know on social media. You can find me over on Blue Sky if you want to connect outside of YouTube. I'll be back next week with episode 44, but until then, I'm Mark Benani. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for playing.
Goodbye, nurse.